George Washington, 1799. The first president of the United States fell ill after riding on horseback in cold, wet conditions. He likely developed epiglottitis, a throat infection that made it hard to breathe. Back then, doctors treated illness with bloodletting, removing about 80 ounces of his blood, a procedure that likely accelerated his death. He faced death with stoic courage, telling his doctor, "I die hard, but I'm not afraid to go." His final words were calm and dignified. "'Tis well." John Adams, 1826. Our second president and a founding father, John Adams, lived to the remarkable age of 90. In his later years, he dealt with heart failure, but he remained mentally sharp. On July 4, 1826, exactly 50 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Adams lay on his deathbed, unaware of the strange cosmic timing unfolding. His final words were spoken with pride and belief in an old friend. Thomas Jefferson survives. What he didn't know was, Jefferson had already died just a few hours earlier. Thomas Jefferson, 1826. The author of the Declaration of Independence and our third president, Jefferson battled diarrhea, pneumonia, and a kidney infection toward the end of his life. As July 4th approached, he asked those at his bedside, "Is it the 4th?" When told not yet, he fought to stay alive until America's 50th birthday. He made it. His final recorded words were, "No, doctor, nothing more." A patriot to the end, Jefferson passed away just hours before Adams, making their shared death date one of the most astonishing coincidences in U.S. history. James Monroe, 1831. Monroe became the third president to die on July 4th, passing away in 1831 at age 73. He had suffered from heart failure complicated by tuberculosis. His final words expressed regret at not seeing his old friend one last time. "I regret that I should leave this world without again beholding him." James Madison, 1836. Madison, the father of the Constitution, died of congestive heart failure just shy of July 4th. Family members hoped to keep him alive for the symbolic day, but Madison declined additional stimulants. He said, "Nothing more than a change of mind, my dear. I always talk better lying down," and passed peacefully on June 28, 1836.
We are a nation founded on principles of liberty and justice for all.
William Henry Harrison, 1841. Harrison delivered a famously long, 2-hour inauguration speech in freezing rain, with no coat or hat. While it was long thought he died of pneumonia, modern studies suggest the true cause was typhoid or septic shock from contaminated White House water. And with that, Harrison became the first president to die in office just 31 days in. Andrew Jackson, 1845. Despite surviving duels and even an assassination attempt, which he responded to by beating the attacker with a cane, Jackson died quietly at home of tuberculosis and heart issues, compounded by dropsy, fluid retention. His final words showed a rare gentleness. "Oh, do not cry. Be good children, and we shall all meet in heaven." Martin Van Buren, 1862. Our 8th president struggled with asthma and heart problems later in life. He passed away quietly at his estate, Lindenwold, in Kinderhook, New York. His final words were a soft expression of faith. There is but one reliance, his way of placing trust in God, as he passed peacefully at the age of 79. John Quincy Adams, 1848. After his presidency, Adams returned to public service in the House of Representatives. While casting a no vote, he collapsed on the House floor from a massive stroke. He was carried out and died 2 days later, saying, "This is the last of earth. I am content." James K. Polk, 1849. After leaving office, Polk toured the South, where he contracted cholera, a severe gastrointestinal illness. He died just 3 months after leaving office, at the young age of 53. His final words to his wife were, "I love you, Sarah, for all eternity." Zachary Taylor, 1850. Taylor fell ill after attending July 4th festivities in the D.C. heat. He reportedly consumed a large amount of raw cherries and iced milk, a combination that likely led to gastroenteritis. Some suspected poisoning, but tests later confirmed natural causes. His last words, "I expect the summons soon. I regret nothing." Abraham Lincoln, 1865. One of the greatest presidents in American history, though the Confederate South might disagree, Lincoln was assassinated while attending a play at Ford's Theater. John Wilkes Booth shot him in the head and fled. Lincoln never regained consciousness. His final words weren't some grand statement, just a soft moment with his wife in the balcony. "She won't think anything about it." He was referring to people seeing them holding hands at the theater. Romantic and tragic. James Buchanan, 1868. Often ranked near the bottom of presidential rankings, Buchanan watched the country descend into civil war and did, well, nothing. He died from a respiratory illness, and some believe he might have been affected by the mysterious National Hotel disease, though that's unproven. He passed at 77, reportedly saying, "O Lord God Almighty, as thou wilt." Franklin Pierce, 1869. Just weeks before taking office, Pierce's son was killed in a gruesome train accident. The trauma sent him spiraling into depression. He became an alcoholic, ultimately destroying his liver with cirrhosis. After losing re-election, he lived in isolation. No one recorded his last words. Sad and forgotten. Millard Fillmore, 1874. Fillmore lived well into his 70s and passed peacefully after a stroke. Right before dying, someone gave him soup, and this dignified man said, "The nourishment is palatable." That's 19th century for, "This soup's pretty good." Andrew Johnson, 1875. Lincoln's vice president turned president was impeached, though not removed. Years later, while visiting family, he suffered 2 strokes, the second leaving him paralyzed. His last words showed his stubbornness. "My right side is paralyzed. I need no doctor. I can overcome my own troubles." James A. Garfield, 1881. Just 100 days into office, Garfield was shot at a train station by a mentally unstable man. The first bullet grazed him. The second got lodged in his back, but it didn't hit anything vital. He might have lived, if not for the doctors, who probed his wound with unsterilized instruments and punctured his liver. He died 80 days later, whispering, "Swaim, can't you stop the pain?" Ulysses S. Grant, 1885. The Civil War hero had a rough post-presidency. He lost his life savings in a Ponzi scheme, then was diagnosed with throat cancer from smoking as many as 20 cigars a day. Determined to leave something behind, he wrote his memoirs through unbearable pain. His final word, croaked through a burning throat, "Water." Chester A. Arthur, 1886. Arthur suffered from Bright's disease, a serious kidney condition. He died at age 57 from a stroke. There's no definitive final statement, but some say he whispered, "Life is not worth living, grim but honest." Rutherford B Hayes, 1893. Hayes died of heart failure at 70, but before passing, he spoke tenderly about reuniting with his wife, who had died years earlier. His final words were, "I know that I'm going where Lucy is." William McKinley, 1901. During a public meet and greet in Buffalo, an anarchist named Leon Czolgosz shot McKinley twice. One bullet grazed him, the other lodged deep. Doctors couldn't find it. 8 days later, infection and gangrene killed him. His final words, spoken to his wife, "We are all going. God's will be done, not ours." This assassination led to the Secret Service officially taking over presidential protection. Benjamin Harrison, 1901. Later that same year, Harrison died from pneumonia. Despite medical care, his lungs gave out. He called for help as he struggled to breathe. His final words, "Are there any doctors here? Doctor, my lungs," and passed away at the age of 67. Grover Cleveland, 1908. The only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, Cleveland died at 71 from heart failure. He left behind a simple, sincere legacy and last words that summed up his life. "I have tried so hard to do right." Theodore Roosevelt, 1919. Teddy Roosevelt was one of the most intense and adventurous presidents in U.S. history. In 1912, while running as a third-party candidate, he was shot in the chest before a speech and still delivered an 84-minute speech with a bullet inside him. Years later, during an expedition in the Amazon, he nearly died from infection, weight loss, and malaria, which permanently weakened him. He died at age 60 from a blood clot in his sleep. His last words to his aide were, "Put out the light, James." Warren G. Harding, 1923. Harding's administration faced scandal, and to rebuild public trust, he went on a cross-country tour. While resting in bed as his wife read to him, Harding suffered a heart attack. His final words were, "That's good, go on, read some more," and passed away at the age of 57. Woodrow Wilson, 1924. Wilson suffered a massive stroke while in office and never fully recovered. He spent his remaining years partially paralyzed and withdrawn from public life. Shortly before his death, he reflected on his condition with haunting clarity. "I am a broken piece of machinery. When the machine is broken, I am ready." William Howard Taft, 1930. Taft, once over 300 pounds, eventually slimmed down, but the damage to his heart had already been done. He died at 72 from heart failure, becoming the first president to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. His final words were not recorded. Calvin Coolidge, 1933. Silent Cal lived a quiet post-presidency. He died suddenly at home at age 60 from a heart attack. True to form, his last words were understated and polite. "Good morning, Robert." Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1945. FDR was elected to 4 terms and led the country through both the Great Depression and World War II. By his 4th term, his health was failing, with polio, high blood pressure, and heart disease taking their toll. While sitting for a portrait in Georgia, he suffered a massive stroke. His last words were, "I have a terrific pain in the back of my head." John F. Kennedy, 1963. At just 46 years old, JFK became the youngest U.S. president to die. While riding in a motorcade through Dealey Plaza in Dallas, he was shot in the head by a sniper. Just seconds before the fatal shot, Texas First Lady Nellie Connolly had turned to him and said, "Mr. President, you can't say Dallas doesn't love you." Kennedy smiled and replied, "No, You certainly can't. Those were his final words. He died instantly, and conspiracy theories still swirl to this day. Herbert Hoover, 1964. President during the onset of the Great Depression, Hoover went on to live a surprisingly long life, 90 years, making him only the second president to reach that age. He died of internal bleeding, and by that time, he was so physically weak that no final words were recorded. Dwight D Eisenhower, 1969. The World War II general turned president battled numerous heart attacks and strokes in his later years. He died of congestive heart failure at Walter Reed Hospital. His final words were a peaceful, solemn request. "I want to go. God, take me." He got his wish and passed away at the age of 78. Harry S. Truman, 1972. At 88 years old, Truman was hospitalized with pneumonia, which led to multiple organ failure. He slipped into a coma, and sadly, no final words were recorded before his death. Lyndon B Johnson, 1973. LBJ had long battled heart problems. At his Texas ranch, he suffered a massive heart attack. Realizing something was wrong, he grabbed the phone and said, "Send Mike immediately," referring to his Secret Service agent. But it was already too late. Those were his last words. Richard Nixon, 1994. After resigning in the wake of the Watergate scandal, Nixon lived quietly for many years. He died at 81 after suffering a massive stroke at his New Jersey home. Before losing consciousness, he called out for help. His last word was simply, "Help." Ronald Reagan, 2004. Reagan, once a Hollywood actor and two-term president, spent his final decade battling Alzheimer's disease. He passed away peacefully at 93, but due to his condition, he had no lucid final words in his final days. Gerald Ford, 2006. President Ford, who took office after Nixon's resignation, lived to be 93, briefly becoming the longest living president in history at the time. He died of cerebrovascular disease caused by restricted blood flow to the brain. His final words were never made public, as his family chose to keep them private. George H.W. Bush, 2018. The elder Bush lived to 94, spending his later years in a wheelchair due to Parkinson's complications. In his final phone call with his son, President George W. Bush, he said, "I love you too," his final, heartfelt words. Jimmy Carter, 2024. Carter holds the record as the oldest U.S. president, living to exactly 100 years old. After entering hospice care in 2023, he passed peacefully of natural causes in December 2024. While his final words were not made public, he told his family shortly before, "I'm ready to see Rosalind again," referring to his beloved wife, who had died just 1 month earlier.